Fat Street's back. Sorry. We're already off to a great start.
Brilliant start.
Yeah. For those of you unaware, I took Backstreet's Back, all right, and I flipped it on its head. Hello and welcome back to the Full Fat Podcast. It's been a long time. Long have I waited to record again. But obviously, a lot of things have been happening this year, and lockdown prevented most of this from happening. So yeah, we're back. We're back to weekly, hopefully. And I'm here with my flatmate and good friend who you may have heard before, God forbid, on Your Favourite Film Was Awful, Charlie Lee.
How you doing, Matt?
It's actually a great podcast. You should check it out.
Thank you.
Roger.
I might give it a go, actually. Check it out. That sounds pretty good. So we've just been locked down, haven't we? In the flat together.
We've been locked down. Gonna lock down to Electric Avenue.
Amazing.
It's been a long year, isn't it?
Do you reckon that's what Kanye would have called the lockdown if he was, got into power?
The love lockdown.
The love lockdown.
Well, thank God the right candidate got into the position. It's been a weird year, isn't it? For all, I'm sure, if you're listening, it's been just as weird for you, if not more. And we hope you're staying safe, keeping safe.
Strange.
It's very strange.
Strange fucking year.
It's felt like January, February, March, April. A brief, well, for the UK anyway, there was a brief bit of summer where things kind of were so opened up that it kind of felt a little bit more normal. And then we've just gone
back in.
Down back. Yeah. And now we're in a full lockdown again for a month. I think it's going to be a tough winter. We've got a tough winter ahead.
Winter is coming.
Yeah. Oh God, don't make me forget Game of Thrones.
True.
I can't believe 2020 has made me yearn for 2019.
Yeah. Yeah. We thought we had it bad then.
Yeah, when it turned out really it was just a bunch of like movies and TV that don't really matter.
Yeah, exactly.
What do you mean it doesn't matter? And on that note, washing the Star Wars filth of 2019 out of our mouths and coming to, well, apart from one good bit of 2019 Star Wars, well, two good bits, well, maybe three good bits. There was some good Star Wars in 2019.
There was some good stuff.
But there was an overriding presence, wasn't there, of something like presence I've not felt in a long time. Now I know obviously there's a big change to the Full Fat Podcast that I need to address. Some big changes have been happening. It's not going to seem the same as it did before for you guys, so I just want to clear the air right away and just mention it. We're not going to be covering Doctor Who week to week. We're going to be covering The Mandalorian because it's out. So big change there. Charlie, how do you feel about
that? Pretty fucking sweet, to be fair.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Feels good, doesn't it?
Feels good to do The Mandalorian. It's just good to have a sort of a show so we can talk about Star Wars every week, to be fair.
I mean, we are already a week late. We're doing a combo today.
Don't tell them.
Yeah, they're not going to know. Why does this say 1 and 2 on the description?
Yeah, sure, they won't figure it out.
So due to ineptitude and laziness, I would say,
we're
now covering 2 episodes at once. What did you think so far? Should we just dive into it?
I think we should dive in. Yeah.
You got to be like Jason Statham, circa 1998. When was the Olympic diver? You just got to go in.
We got
jump
around
in.
then, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know actually. When did Lock Stock come out? That came out around
95.
Yeah, don't know.
Oh, maybe he was a diver. I think he was a diver before he was an actor, wasn't he? So it would be
he was,
much earlier than that. Maybe 88.
Yeah.
I have no idea. Jason, if you're listening, write in.
I'm sure he is.
First thing I do in the morning is I get my cup of tea and I listen to the Full Fat Podcast. That bloody Matt. He's pretty cool. Charlie's all right. He's all right, I guess.
He's all right.
I thought the first episode was pretty electric.
Yeah, I was a big fan of the first episode.
Felt like Star Wars was back.
Yes,
Star Wars was back and it was glorious.
We needed it. We were having a bit of a sad week here at the flat, and when the fucking Mandalorian, because it was all this lockdown coronavirus. It's stuff to keep the spirits high, isn't it?
It's been a weird year of like, if you have like personal problems, good or bad, or just personal things going on in your life, good or bad, there's always world problems seeping through, isn't there? So even if you're kind of having a good week, I've found, particularly in the lockdown, there's still that kind of melancholy air, isn't there?
Yes, definitely, 100%.
And that was definitely gripping the entire flat, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
It was the first week of lockdown as well.
Yeah,
Got
that is
some
true.
slack.
But then, we had the first episode of The Mandalorian, which for me was a fucking great entry back into The Mandalorian again, basically. Like I just thought, like, from the opening alone, like, I always love. I'm a sucker for a good opening that's like separate to what we're gonna see for the rest of the episode, and it's just like this little moment where we get to
there was that other planet, wasn't there? Yeah,
like where we get to see the characters like flex their muscles. You get to see what you can. The promise of the premise is delivered like from the start opening scene, and then you get the title, and then it's like, okay, what's today's episode gonna be? I quite enjoyed.
I also liked right off the bat, we've got a great practical head. I don't know if John Leguizamo was in the costume, probably not. Probably just lent the voice. But that one-eyeballed monster.
Yeah.
I think that we've seen as well in the second episode with that lizard creature some really great practical creature design. Although I do think the lizard woman isn't as cool as the one-eyed monster, if only because she looks a bit like Barney from time to time. When she's walking around, it's the way she's like, her head's attached to her shoulders, and she kind of like moves left to right. It's a bit Barney.
Yeah, that's true.
Barney the dinosaur. But yeah, I thought it was a great episode. Like, I think if people were expecting something really plot heavy to start off with, I think maybe you'd feel a bit shortchanged. It doesn't really factor into anything larger, does it? Like, I know he starts the hunt for Mandalorians, but very quickly he gets sidetracked with Mr. Cobb Vamp.
Right, well, we'll get to him, but just to get to your point, I think as well. I think I was a little bit prepared for it because I do think the Mandalorian sort of established that it's not like every other TV show that we're getting at the moment. It's a bit more like an older show in terms of like everything's a bit more contained,
more serialized,
more serialized. Yeah, like a Doctor Who.
Yeah, I must say, like, everyone complaining about it, I'm kind of like, oh well, this is kind of what I'm used to with Doctor Who. You get one complete story every week. Sometimes it will tie into the larger arc, sometimes it won't. So I'm really happy that we're kind of getting that, and also it's been good for just tapping in and out of TV. I like that it's weekly. Like I showed my girlfriend earlier a little bit of the spider sequence. She can't stand them, and like I just showed it out of context, and like it works as a complete narrative. Because it's just each week is like, oh, what's the adventure this week?
Exactly.
Oh, now we're helping the Marshal fight this dragon. Now we're in the spider cave, and then hopefully what will happen is you won't be thinking about the arc. You'll just be having a fun adventure, and then boom. Oh, the arc's come back in, Boba Fett's turned up, or, Ahsoka, or, oh my god, so many good things are going to happen.
Oh my god, it's ridiculous. Yeah, I totally agree. I like that kind of aspect of it, and I think it kind of keeps with the, the theme of it being like this Western TV series. It feels like
a Western, a shootout. It's a shootout. That was Jason Statham at the Olympics. For those of you who don't know,
that's what he called. His diving.
Well, he's got a shootout. Like a Western. If you'd like to write in with your Tom Hardy legend impersonations, please send them to me. Send
just
me on
personally.
Twitter. Yeah.
Straight to the direct.
I would say you can email me, but I don't want to give out my personal email. Just in case.
Got enough tit on there, I guess.
Oh yeah, enough tit. Yeah, I get enough shit emails from this guy. Hey, just checking in. I'm lonely from my room.
Please.
I hope someone out there's find this funny.
Yeah, well, or at least enjoy the fact that we're having a good time.
I feel like C-3PO, like, he hasn't had his oil bath yet, and he's a bit rusty, and there's been a long gap.
Yes.
But once he's had the oil bath, he'll get a bit more into it. This episode, viewers, is the oil bath.
Yes, no. It's been a while for us. I mean, the last one we did was the lockdown.
We did that lockdown movies thing, didn't we?
Yeah, so I don't know. Every time I take a sort of bit of a break from doing a podcast, I feel a little bit rusty.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Yeah, like, you don't feel as relaxed.
Yeah, it's
you
weird.
Just kind of,
It is weird. But yeah, no. Yeah, to go back to the point. Anyway, to go back to what we was talking about.
Hang on, just give us a second to let our brains fart.
Function,
we'll fight it all out.
Exactly. The cogs are turning. The cogs are turning. They're a bit rusty.
On this easy Sunday morning. God, it's a shithole outside, isn't it?
Yeah, no.
It's miserable British weather. Beautiful British weather.
That is shit.
No. I'll tell you where there is good weather. Tatooine in Mos Pelgos. Is it Pelgos or Pelgo? Fuck. So close to a good segue.
Yeah. Well,
we had it, but we didn't. It's Mos Pelgo, I think.
I think it's Mos Pelgo. Yeah.
What did you think of? You're a big Timothy Olyphant fan.
Oh man. Well, this is what I was going to go to. Was just like the whole point of like it feels like an old Western show where like a sort of a famous star will turn up.
He's the heavy.
Like, yeah, and like just turn up and then like you won't see him again or for a bit or for a while anyway. And obviously I'm a big fan of Justified.
Yeah, he's downplaying this for like all summer. He's been watching Justified after sort of getting back into Timothy Oliphant from him in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yes.
And Tarantino said he really liked Justified, didn't he?
Yes.
That was kind of like your springboards to
it was written by Elmore Leonard. It's based on an Elmore Leonard book. And Elmore Leonard wrote the book that Jackie Brown's based off of. So I was always curious because
there was that DNA there for you.
Yeah, because I quite like the his dialogue. Elmore Leonard's a big inspiration for like Tarantino's dialogue as well. So like I was like, okay, I want to watch a show where the dialogue's dope. So
it's weird, isn't it? Because when you watch it, it's got great dialogue and really great writing, some really great tense scenes, but it looks super like 2010s, 2011 TV, doesn't it?
Yes,
it's
exactly.
before like the golden age.
It finished in 2015, so it's that era of like early Walking Dead, early Mad Men, early Breaking Bad, where TV was really starting to like.
Yeah, it's a bit behind on that, isn't it?
Yes,
in the sense of the look.
Yes, definitely. But and especially in terms of like the way it's shot, it's very digital looking and stuff. But there's so many good. I mean, it's so well written. I think some of it, and the tension's so good, and the characters are great, and it is very much its own thing. But yeah, it was a perfect segue for me personally. For seeing Oliphant in The Mandalorian, it just made total sense.
It was so weird because you were going on about how awesome he is, watching episode after episode of Justified, and then suddenly we saw the news that he was going to be in Mandalorian season 2. After we were also in a Star Wars mood at the time, weren't we?
Yeah, it was so strange.
It was like early lockdown.
It was so strange, and then like Matt goes to me, "Oh, mate, Timothy Oliphant's been cast in The Mandalorian," and I was like, "Fuck!" I actually thought he was.
I like to rib Charlie a lot.
I thought he was having
make things up and tease him.
Yeah, I'm pretty gullible to be fair. I believe anything. So he said that, and I was like, "No, there's no way, it's bullshit. You're lying to me." And then I looked at myself, and I lost my mind a little bit. And then to find out that he was going to be playing a guy wearing Boba Fett's armor, I mean, it's just like
it's too good to be true, isn't it?
Yeah, it was like someone coming into my brain and just Don Favreau went straight in and just picked it out,
Oh, fantastic.
Just gave me the goodies.
The Fabs. Johnny Fabs,
mate.
Boy.
He's doing it again. But yeah, no, I thought this episode was really fun. I really liked how it was like all about this, just like, it felt really big and epic. I think this is what I felt was kind of missing in a few of the sort of bottle episodes of the first season, was like, even if they were nice contained stories, this one for me was like, what can we do with that and then make it even bigger? Like, it was like, it felt like a movie version of that bottle episode. Do you know what I mean? In terms of like, let's stop this gigantic.
And I think the characters and the conflict in that sort of like one-off was way more interesting than any of the one-offs in the last season.
Yes.
Like I mean, I see a lot of people online talk about the episode in a positive manner, but we don't really like that Jawa's episode, do we? The second episode.
Not the biggest fan.
It just feels very meandering, and it does feel like a side quest.
Yes,
but not in the way that this episode does, in the sense that you get a full A to B, you get your bang for your buck, you get like the townsfolk learning to cooperate with the Tusken Raiders, which I thought was a really nice beat to add in, and then you get like obviously the dynamic between the Mandalorian and Cobb Vanth, and that kind of initial tension where he wants him to take off the armor, and by the end of it, do you know what I mean? You feel like you've got some bang for your buck.
Definitely.
Whereas I think with the Sandcrawler episode, it's a bit like, in a video game where you need to get somewhere and you go to the door and then it's like, oh, you need this item first to get through the door, and then he goes off and does his little side quest.
Yeah.
And then because by the time it goes to episode 3, it's almost like you could end episode 1 with him getting the child, start episode 3 of him landing on the planet, and you wouldn't have missed anything, would you? Whereas with this,
I think the only reveal is that Yoda, he does the Force.
Oh yeah. But like
that,
it's so minute, isn't it? You could write that into either episode 1 at the end or in episode 3. Like, he doesn't need to find out there, does he?
Yeah, it's true.
Whereas this felt like a story worth telling, even if it didn't tie into the larger world. But also, he went to Tatooine to find a Mandalorian, didn't find one, but we've now seen Boba Fett, haven't we?
We have.
It's pretty cool, and I'm a big fan of Tamira Morrison.
Oh yes.
Was hyped when he was cast as Aquaman's dad.
So yes,
love me some Jango Fett, and I've also always loved the idea that he would play Boba Fett if you were to bring him back. It makes perfect sense. He's a clone.
Yeah.
So to see him there is awesome. What do you think about the rumours that that's not Boba Fett and it's Captain Rex?
Yeah, I've heard about that.
I think people are overthinking it though.
I think overthinking it. I could see it. I mean, I think overthinking it. I do think it's a bit of a. I don't know. I think the fact that it's like in Tatooine, like, and he's there.
Yeah.
It would be a bit of a tease.
It's like it's a weird red herring, isn't it?
It'd be a red herring. Yeah, that's the sort
Yeah.
of word I'm looking for. Yeah, I do think that'd be strange. Yeah, I'm very, very excited to see Tamir Morrison, like, in the Mandalorian show, because obviously we see him as Jango Fett, but like he's in a show now where like he can get way more
flex his action chops.
He can really
and,
flex it. And like he's quite a terrifying presence. Like if you see him in something like Once We're Warriors,
yeah.
he's like ferocious, man.
Yeah.
Like, he's very intimidating, and he's like,
I think everything he's in.
Yes.
He's an intimidating presence. Like, also, he's not a
Definitely.
tall guy, is he? He's like 5'8"
no,
or
but
something.
he's a solid looking dude.
But
isn't he?
yeah, you wouldn't mess with him. I wouldn't mess with Tamir Morrison.
And I think it's interesting to see. I'm very intrigued to see how they make Boba, because we were talking about this. We were like, the Mandalorian is automatically the coolest Mandalorian.
Oh, 100%.
Like,
yeah,
because we've seen
past
way
the first
more of him.
episode, I think. Yeah,
And it's like, I want to see if they decide to go down the route of like, okay, can we make Boba Fett the most awesome thing you've ever seen?
Yeah.
Or are we just gonna like show you like, no, the Mandalorian's the boy you need to be looking at?
The Mandalorian is the best one by default for me because he's the first one in live action that's actually had a character.
Yeah.
But what I'm excited about with Boba Fett is that maybe now we will get to see him have a character.
Exactly.
And also, I'd like him to be a bit darker than the Mandalorian. I think he's going to be an antagonist.
Yes, I think so too.
And obviously, also technically, he's not a Mandalorian.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's going to come into it. And obviously, we've seen that first episode. I think that's why that first episode works, even though it's a bottle episode.
Yes.
Is you see how seriously he takes the creed and how he's like, you got to take that armor off because you're not Mandalorian. So when he meets Boba Fett, there's going to be some conflict there, isn't there?
Definitely. Like you learn a lot about him as a character, even though we know quite a lot about him already in Mandalorian. You learn a little bit more about him and his morals.
Yeah.
And we get to see him when he has to deal with someone, like a whole town. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, the way he dealt with the whole not having the armor, because like I feel like another Mandalorian would have seen that as like way more disrespectful, maybe.
Yeah.
And like would have acted a bit more aggressively, maybe.
Yeah.
Whereas he kind of he heard him out a bit
He
more.
definitely softens on Cobb when he tells him about it's the mining collective. They come in, don't they? Which also is a really interesting idea that you destroy the Empire, you destroy like Imperial rule on Tatooine, and then just there's a power vacuum.
I thought
Someone
that
else
was
comes
brilliant. And I really like the designs as well. Of
Yeah.
them. It felt really Star Warsy. Which it's a weird thing to say that, isn't it? But there's sometimes some things can feel that way and some things can't.
Yeah, I think it's kind of like ground zero for why so much new Star Wars that is always coming out is so divisive, isn't it? Because people have such an ingrained idea of what Star Wars should be, not only from a story point, but from like a design standpoint, from a musical standpoint. So sometimes it's hard to do that. I mean, even you were talking about you weren't sure if you liked some of the more hip hop beats
in this
the
new
Mandalorian
season.
theme,
Yeah, from Ludwig Göransson. I'm a big fan of Ludwig Göransson. I feel like in this season he's pushed a little bit more so far. Pushed a little bit more like these sort of like hip hoppy snares that kind of. I think that's the right thing. Just to preface, me and Matt don't know anything about music, really, do we? so we're just gonna describe how we think the things sound.
jingle part of the jingle. I thought, sounded definitely.
I think people know what I mean by that.
Yeah. It's like after it goes from da 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 da. I think you hear it in episode 1 when he lands in Tatooine when he actually comes down to land the ship.
I think so. Yeah. But like we said, it's because like you're so used to John Williams.
Yeah.
And I didn't necessarily feel that in the first season. I kind of got used to it.
Yeah.
Because I think the score is so good. I think it's all instantly iconic.
Yeah.
But I feel like obviously he's tried to do something a little bit, not a little bit different, but it's there's a couple of different notes in this season already.
Yeah.
Obviously that makes sense.
But I think Ludwig always manages to carve out something unique,
fresh and
that's
yes,
distinctly Ludwig as well.
definitely, I agree.
Like even when he's working with Nolan and stuff, like
Definitely,
it's got DNA of Zimmer in there, isn't it, in Tenet? But
yeah,
it's distinctly a Ludwig Göransson.
Yes, he does. He does understand that balance. I think that's good.
And I like that he just uses weird sounds, and also they're always kind of like they're corresponding to the scene in very specific ways. Like you know, in Tenet when the winch is winding up and it suddenly becomes part of the score. Like it just, it's awesome,
amazing.
I think that might be his best work, Tenet.
What Ludwig? Yeah,
the Mandalorian main theme though is it's up there with Williams as part of like Star Wars canon, isn't it?
Yeah, because it's like it's like you said, it's instantly iconic. You can hum to it.
Oh, he's just such a he's just got such a diverse range of talent, isn't he? Because to do like Community, and all the tracks
And
on
Black
that.
Panther
and
as
Black
well.
Panther, yeah.
Which I think that's a fantastic soundtrack. I think,
Probably the best Marvel original soundtrack.
I could maybe.
Yeah. I'd say like the Avengers theme is probably the best single.
That's
track.
true, like the portals and stuff.
Yeah, stuff like that. Yeah,
Sylvester, but that's like the main.
But in terms of, I'd say like
single
an actual,
movie. yeah, Marvel movie. I agree.
complete soundtrack. Yeah,
Definitely.
yeah,
I just really like the way the action. I think what I'm really enjoying about the Mandalorian right now, and is the kind of like, even though it's TV, I think what people keep forgetting as well is that, like, you know, the guy, you can't see his face, and I think that's quite a challenge for the filmmakers, if you think about it, to try and get this emotion across without, you know, having him say these things. He's not much of a talker anyway.
The child does help, doesn't he?
It does, but again, it's not talking.
Puppet, yeah.
It's not actually saying anything. It's still all physical motions, and I think the more the show's going on, the more I'm starting to appreciate that sort of stuff.
Well, I mean, a lot of it feels like it's trying to tap into kind of like the mantra that George had back in 1977. Do you know what I mean? It's like big set piece action that's kind of pushing the technology forward. Like, we love that bit where the aspect ratio changed.
I thought that was, I lost my mind. I thought that was fucking brilliant.
Yeah,
because it was so seamless, and like it really made the monster feel bigger. It used the tool as a tool.
Yeah,
it used it as a tool instead of, like, for example, like, I love Nolan. I'm not gonna, like, if you're watching a Nolan movie and he shoots on IMAX and then he shoots on, you know,
but sometimes he mixes it together so much. Like in Dark Knight Rises, I think that's his most egregious one, where it's like cutting to an IMAX exterior as Jim Gordon's in his bed in hospital, and it's like cutting back and forth, IMAX, not IMAX, IMAX, not IMAX, and like, I really don't like that. I much prefer the way it's used in The Mandalorian, where it's like, here's like the, you know, the widescreen portion of it, but we're gonna like ease it in as part of the story, and also like to see Cobb Vanth's reaction as the dragon came out times to the aspect ratio change, so it really feels like you're on that journey with them, doesn't it?
100%, and it does exactly what they're for, which is, like, you know, to create scale. Yeah, and it puts you at that moment in the character's perspective of what they're seeing. Like, that monster, as it comes out, it gets bigger, and I remember thinking, whoa, like, it actually felt like almost in a better effect than a 3D would, in a weird way. It kind of made me like, oh,
well, it's like it's that awesome thing of using editing to create visual effects. Yeah, do you know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
And telling the story in the cut.
Yes.
And I also liked when it went back to the normal aspect ratio afterwards. That felt really earned, really satisfying.
Definitely.
Like, oh, he slayed the beast.
The music went back on, and he kind of drove off. That was, and then it made it seem like it was like almost like cool the way the aspect changed. Rather than like jarring, like you said, or anything like that. It was like, oh, this is like, now we're back in the mood of this mood, sort of thing.
Because even when it's like an extended segment in Nolan and then it goes back to the normal aspect ratio, it is still that first cut is jarring, isn't it? And then you kind of go, oh, okay, we're in the different aspect ratio now, I'm back in.
Yeah.
I hope more things adopt this style, sort of where it's like, okay, we've got this sequence, how can we get the story to make sense for the aspect ratio change?
Yes, definitely.
And bake it into.
I think, although saying that, just quickly, I do think that Nolan avoided that a lot more, in my opinion, in Tenet. I think, like, I found it like, or he did it in the right points.
Yes, yeah.
But yeah, I know what you mean.
But it's still it's always strange to see the bars flash up.
Yeah.
After, do you know what I mean? After you've gotten used to that wider aspect ratio.
Yeah.
I definitely think, just for me anyway, like easing it in and out.
Interesting. Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, it just gave me that overwhelming sense of joy the whole episode.
Yeah, same.
That Star Wars is back.
We get new characters that were like, I want to know. I want to see this cop. Who doesn't want to see
this cop character? Again? Yeah, I want to see him more.
Who doesn't want to see that?
I like that kind of. He's like that man with no name cowboy type coming into a town. He fixes the problem with the Tusken Raiders between them. He kills the Great Dragon. He does them all a favour, and then he rides off into the sunset. Yep. And then he kind of does that for the Lizard Woman in the second episode. Do you know what I mean? Helps her out, like ferrying her eggs, and then like he'll go somewhere else in episode 3, and like I kind of like that we'll be building up this mystique around him throughout the galaxy.
Yeah, it's brilliant. I feel like they really sat down and was like, let's make the Mandalorian Mifune from the fucking Kurosawa's movies and Blondie like Clint Eastwood from Leone's movies. How can we and just put them together and was like, this is the Mandalorian.
Yeah.
And even add to that an extra level, like you can't even see his face. So you've gone to these characters that are silent and they go into these towns and solve it. Now you can't even see this guy's face. You don't even know what he's really
it's
feeling.
proper stripped back, isn't it?
Yeah, and I like that. And I think what I quite liked about going back to like the serialized nature of it is it goes back to what I feel like George always sort of reminds us. George Lucas always says, you know, it's for the kids, make it for the kids. And I kind of like the fact that it feels like
you could tune
a cartoon. Yeah, it feels like it's not. You know what I mean? It feels like, you know, you jump in, jump out. It's not. It gets dark, and I think it deals with that, and it's got a really nice balance of that. I believe
if you're watching as a family, you could just like say you missed the first episode.
Yeah.
Oh, and like, you know, half you've seen it, half you haven't. You could tune into the Spiders episode.
Yeah.
You get a fantastic X-wing chase.
Yes, brilliant.
Like, do you know what I mean? You get your bang for your buck, even if you're not following the larger arc. I think it's the best thing Peyton Reeds have made.
Oh, what, talking about the second episode?
Yeah. I haven't seen Bring It On in a long time.
Yeah, I probably agree with you. I definitely agree with you, probably. We're not big fans of the Ant-Man movies, though, are we?
No, like, I like Ant-Man 1 for what it is.
Yeah, same.
I think Ant-Man and the Wasp it's a no from me.
I just find them missed opportunities. The Ant-Man movies. I think you can really take that character in really wild, interesting places.
You've got an incredible cast.
Yeah.
You got Paul Rudd, Evangeline Lilly, Michelle Pfeiffer now, and Michael Douglas, and then you have this great quantum realm hopping. Like, we saw the concept, didn't we, for some Ant-Man and the Wasp, where they were like battling giant like germs and bacteria and all this sort of stuff. And it was like, that looks incredible. It's amazing. And then you don't get it in the movie.
That's what always made me sad with like when I found out that Edgar Wright's movie was gonna be influenced by like Fantastic Voyage, which is like a movie about these essentially these doctors that get shrunk.
They'd go in, don't they?
To save someone's like blood clot.
You could totally do an Ant-Man movie that is just he needs to go in and save like someone's open heart surgery or something. Do you know what I mean? Like,
whole movie, and that'd be incredible.
Yeah.
You could really play with that and have some fun with it.
It's frustrating that we're 2 out of 3 Ant-Man movies in, and they're still so bland. I still don't think they've quite taken full
of what he's capable,
full capabilities of the character. Yeah,
but enough. Enough
Ant-Man.
Enough Ant-Man. But yeah, no. I agree. I think the X-Men chase was really good. I think the spider stuff was really good in this.
It's really cool. Although I do think it's one of those episodes that is really lacking some thrust. And you're kind of sitting around waiting for something to happen, aren't you? And then the X-Wing chase happens. And that's a fucking fantastic sequence in its own right.
Definitely.
But then you go back to like, okay, now next what's going to happen?
Yep.
Then you get the fantastic spider sequence. And then Dave Filoni shows up. And then you're like, oh, okay, so this is kind of tying into... Is the episode about his mistrust of the Republic and how that dynamic works out? And then that kind of goes away again. And then it's just about them leaving, fixing the ship. Like, it's all very plot-based, but... I don't really know where it's going or what's the interesting prescient conflict. There isn't one really.
Yeah, what's the kind of what did we learn? This is what I said to you after. I was like, what did we learn? What did we discover from this episode? What does this episode teach us about the narrative, the characters?
Yeah,
I feel like we got some cool action scenes.
Yeah,
but I don't really feel like we got. Well, in terms of like even if we go back to episode 2, which I'm less of a fan of than this one.
Yeah.
Even with that, we still got that reveal of Yoda sort of having the Force, and we're like, oh, that was a big kind of reveal. Whereas this is kind of like, if I didn't really find anything new about.
So, he risks his life to save someone innocent and her babies, but like we know he'd do that.
Yeah,
he's shown that. He's shown that before. Like, but then having said that, the 2 sequences in question were fantastic.
Brilliant.
That X-Wing chase is probably better than 90% of the sequel trilogy chases. Definitely better than any of the Rise of Skywalker chases.
Yeah.
I think probably the Falcon chase in the middle of Force Awakens probably tops it. And also, I really do like that bit at the start of Last Jedi with Poe Dameron.
I love that bit. Yeah.
I think both those sequences are probably pound for pound better than this chase, but it was pretty cool. And what I did like is it's not... The lead we're following isn't Han Solo or Poe Dameron, Anakin Skywalker. They're not like a master pilot, and their ship's a piece of shit, isn't it?
Yeah.
So rather than him trying to actually fight these X-Wings, who they characterised as like Spitfires, like absolute balls to the wall, these are the deadliest fuckers in space, aren't they?
Yeah.
He just tries to like shut off the ship and like glide and basically get away from them, doesn't he?
Yeah.
It's a really great shot where you think he's lost them, and then they come in out of nowhere, don't they? Yeah.
So good.
And then it goes to that canyon, doesn't it? The icy canyon.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool.
Very cool. It was very. It was cool. I liked that they sort of made the Republic kind of feel like police officers.
Yeah, they definitely felt like cops, didn't they?
Yeah, like cops, like.
But in that authoritarian way, didn't they?
Yeah.
Like, oh, you know, maybe if you fix your transponder and we'll let you off, like, rather than helping him and he's gonna fuck off. Like, yeah, it's cool seeing from his perspective that if you're an outlaw, you know, like the Empire getting replaced with the Republic, it's just one master to another, isn't it? Really, like it's not going to change things for people on Tatooine, maybe necessarily.
Which is cool because it's something that I feel like was established in The Last Jedi.
Yeah,
and I feel like this kind of adds on to that kind of aspect of like, to some people working for either side, it doesn't matter, it doesn't change their job.
For some, it makes them very rich.
Yeah,
and then for others, if you're on the Outer Rim. And, you know, like, you're like Anakin and his mother, where you're sold into slavery. Like, the old Republic didn't do anything for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that is always interesting when you see, like, the X-Wing pilots like, oh, no, I guess maybe they'd be dicks.
Yeah.
But, it just didn't feel like an essential episode. And it doesn't need to be because of the arc. It's really, for me, like, what is the prescient conflict at hand? Do you know what I mean? Like, did something really cool happen?
Is there a bigger reveal with this? Maybe with the next episode, with this, you know, what's the creature with its eggs? Maybe they're going to play. You know, maybe it's going to.
Do you think that'll be in the next episode?
Well, at the end, he's there in the ship, isn't it?
We were kind of debating, weren't we? Because the way this first episode starts,
I think that was kind of the problem I had with it a little bit as well. Is that you know, we have this thing where he's got to protect this thing and take it this place, and because the episode is just a series of things that happen, and we never got to see them actually deliver the package. It's kind of like unsatisfying in a weird way.
It is like, unsatisfying.
Oh, this was the mission of this episode. It wasn't like the mission was established in the one before.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm trying to say?
I do think like sometimes, maybe this is the Filoni influence, it does feel like it's a 20-minute episode of a cartoon, and I'm like binging a load of them at once. Because like if this was like a 20-minute episode of Avatar or Clone Wars, and they fought like a load of spiders in a cave and stuff, you'd be like, oh, that was quite a fun little episode for a Saturday morning. But in live action, when it's like 40 to 50 minutes, I think you need a little bit more, like the first episode. But there's still like top tier filmmaking in there.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? Like the spider sequence, when you get like the wonder of the child going through the eggs. Like, I said to you, didn't I? Like, it looks like the alien eggs. And you were like, yeah, it does. Yeah. And then when it opened up, almost in the exact same way, like that 4 prongs.
Literally, yeah. It's heavily influenced, definitely.
Yeah.
And then it was good because Matt's biggest fear is spiders, so to have a giant monster spider, and also had its own design to it. That's what I liked. It wasn't just a spider.
Oh, well, funny you said that.
Yeah.
I need to fact check this.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure it's a design from Canon that cropped up on Dagobah before, because I had a visual dictionary, and I remember these spiders where they've got like mouths like underneath
faces,
their abdomens, and I think if I remember correctly, right?
Yeah,
you're gonna love this.
Okay,
because it always stayed with me as a kid. I was like, what? They like crawl around, right? And obviously they're eating things, and then at the end of their life cycle, the way they're designed, they like burrow into the ground, and then their legs become roots, and they become a tree.
That's cool.
Yeah, it is cool, isn't it?
That
I'm pretty sure it's the same creature.
I could imagine that.
Yeah.
I'd definitely try and check that out, because
I don't know them by name.
That'd be crazy if you remembered that all from those.
Well, you know what? Let me just fact check this right now.
Yeah, let's do it. Why not?
While you filibuster and just say some interesting things you liked about the episode into the microphone whilst I Google inconspicuously. So, okay, so we're going to do that now, and it's going to be a really smooth transition. And Charlie, what did you think about the mise en scène?
Phenomenal mise en scène. I think the episode, I thought it was cool that we had the. I think I really liked I like that his ship now is like half got like cobwebbed, like spiders all just laying there dead everywhere, and it.
Okay, that's quite enough. I found it. Yeah, so they're called Krykna, and I'm pretty sure
it's the same thing.
I'm just going on to Wikipedia. They're extremely difficult to tame with the Force. Oh, wait. Okay. They're predatory, non-sentient, spider-like creatures. They're native to Atalon. But they're resistant to blaster bolts. Maybe it's not them. Highly sensitive to negative emotions, making them extremely difficult to tame with the Force.
What?
Are they in Dagobah? They're in Rebels. Ah! Yeah, see, there's Ralph McQuarrie concept art of one. and the eggs from Empire Strikes Back. Oh, maybe they were meant to be in Hoth, not Dagobah. Oh, no. Behind the scenes, the Krykna? How would you pronounce this? Krykna. Krykna?
K-N-A.
Krykna.
Krykna. Yeah.
The Krykna are based on concept art by Ralph McQuarrie of a Dagobah life form called the Knobby White Spider. First appeared in 1995's Star Wars Legends novel Darksaber, in the illustrated Star Wars universe.
Ooh, and this has got a Darksaber in it, doesn't it? this Mandalorian show.
I don't know if it's the same Darksaber. Maybe it is. I'm pretty sure that is the same one that I was thinking about back in the day. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they turn into trees at the end of their life cycles.
I can see that. That's cool.
This concept art is really cool, though. Also, it is exactly what was in the episode with the eggs, but it's Luke.
Ooh.
I'm gonna send it to you.
I like how it took a turn like that because it
Yes.
does go in a way that you don't expect. Which is
You're not expecting to get a creature feature, are you?
No.
Especially after you got the X-wing chase, you're like, oh, that was the spectacle for the episode.
Yeah.
You're starting to sense at that point that that's like the one big thing in a relatively cheap episode or a cheaper episode.
Yeah.
I
do like that we get the Mandalorian fighting a lot of the environment. You know, he's fighting a lot of the creatures that are around on these planets that he's
feels
on.
very Jedi Fallen Order, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. And like we've said before, like Star Wars feels like the world of Star Wars feels terrifying to go. Like in terms of like the creatures are more. Well, wasn't it something we were talking about before that like it makes sense that the creatures are like bigger and like more
Hungrier and
terrifying
crazier
than they are here because.
Yeah.
If the general people can sort of flip and use the force and
it
kind of balances itself out, doesn't it? Like,
yeah, it makes sense that it would be such an inhospitable galaxy.
Yes, exactly.
And you got people that, even the people that are non-force sensitive, you know, you can get a jetpack if you want.
Yep.
Some Beskar armor, a helmet. Do you ever think, if I was in the Star Wars universe, why the fuck would I not have a jetpack? It annoys me when he even takes it off. Like when he was in the cave, it's like, if you had a jetpack, scoop up Lizard Woman, scoop up the child, and we'll just fly out. We'll just fly out.
Yeah, it's true.
Fantastic.
It's true. I wonder how it works in terms of fuel. How does that work? Do you know?
I don't know. I think it does take like
Surely.
regular combustion. Yeah, maybe that's true. Maybe that's why he's not using it, taking it out all the time.
Yeah. That was cool when he used it to get that person to
I think we both had the same thought there, so we didn't explain it because we were both just going,
nodding, yeah. Then we realised it's a podcast. And,
you're talking about the bit when he like calls it back.
Yes.
Yeah.
yeah.
Zing twinning. Yeah, that was an awesome bit. Although again, it was weird, wasn't it? Because he was still on Tatooine at that point, and that felt kind of like an extra bit of the last episode.
Yes, it did.
Cool as it was as a fight scene. Not sure if it was necessary. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The episode could have started with him at the docking bay being like, "Oh, you need to give this woman transport somewhere with her eggs."
Yeah, in a strange way, it kind of felt like a second act only episode.
Yes.
In a weird way. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just all the, you know, he gets stuck and trapped and he has to get out of these obstacles, overcome these obstacles, but it never really felt like, I don't know.
I think the thing that's been missing for me in both episodes, actually, is I don't think the relationship between him and the child has developed anyway. Like, I kind of thought in the first episode especially, do you know what I mean? Like, something would have happened a bit more centric to him. I think definitely he could have gotten in more danger with the spiders. I think he could have pushed that a little bit more.
Yeah.
Like, particularly when he was in the middle of the eggs. Although I did like the bit when, you know, he gets to the ship and then you're like, oh no, shit, they're getting in the ship as well. And they're crawling everywhere. And then they get through the door. Good. And then compared to the child, they're actually quite big, aren't they? And then one of them just like comes down slowly next to the child. Oh, they're horrible, aren't they?
Yeah,
oh, absolutely hate them.
That was great.
Spiders are alien.
Yeah, they're horrible.
Everything about the design is so utterly disgusting.
Well, if you think about it, like most horror monster designs are like based off like spiders.
Yeah, they're like insectoid, aren't they? Or...
Yeah, like insects and stuff.
Spider's not an insect; it's an arachnid.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yes, thank you for leaving a comment before I've tenanted your comment.
Said it before you could.
Yeah, inversion. Any further thoughts on episode 1 and 2? The Marshal and the
what was it?
The passenger.
Passenger, yeah, the passenger. Pretty sure it's called that.
Episode 10.
Yeah, the passenger. And we don't know what the next episode is. I think it's quite interesting that we don't know.
It's going to be the watery one, isn't it? It's going to be the one on the barge. I'm pretty sure the high seas. That's what it says in the synopsis. You know, the one from the trailer where it's like people think it's Sabine Wren in the and then she vanishes. I think that's going to be the next episode. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, interesting.
I wonder who's directing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know it's another Favreau written one.
I think the Rodriguez one's going to be towards the later half. I mean, it's going to be like episode 6 or something like that.
Yeah. I thought we was going to get, I don't know, when I heard like the episode was called The Marshal, I thought that was going to be the Rodriguez one, because I was like, oh, he's used to doing like shootouts, cowboy stuff. But I'm intrigued to see what one they give him. I'm intrigued to see who's going to be directing the Sorcerer episode.
Yes.
The one that's titled Sorcerer, because I'm imagining that's the episode with Ahsoka.
Yeah. Things are going to get mental.
Yeah, and it's going to be so strange to see, I mean, possibly a lightsaber. I mean, from what we've...
Well, from comments we've seen behind the scenes, it seems like there might be some lightsaber duels,
Yeah.
which would be insane with the Darksaber.
Be crazy.
I just want to see... I hope it's not like Boba Fett and Ahsoka and all those elements come in at the same time. I hope it's like we have different
time
episodes
to spend
to...
with them.
Yeah,
I agree. Sorry, to go back to that child you said about the child more. I did think at one point, do you know when like he come out of the ship and after the spies attacked and there was like a hole in the ship? Like, I thought like Baby Yoda. I thought it was gonna go down the route of like Baby Yoda had like just, like blown a bit of it out, like gone a bit out, because he's like, oh shit, I need to get out, because obviously he just reacts like that, doesn't he? And then I thought he would have like found Baby Yoda like somewhere in the cave or whatever, and then they would have had like a moment. That's what I thought was going to happen. And it still doesn't. It still feels like Baby Yoda is kind of at the moment being used as like, we'll put Baby Yoda in danger, and that adds the tension, because like, oh, we don't want this cute little baby thing to die, and Mando can as like the constant. Do you know what I'm saying?
I just want more between the two of them. Like,
they
haven't really had much bonding lately. I just think. You could have pushed the episode a bit more to the point where the spectacle, I think, would have made up for a lot of the plot's misgivings. Do you know what I mean? Like, if they got to the cockpit, and one of them bit the child, dragged him out, and then suddenly all the spiders, they just disappear, and then it's like, oh fuck, and then he's got to go in, kind of like Ripley and Aliens, and fetch new. Do you know what I mean? That would have been a cool third act, wouldn't it? Maybe he'd have gone in with the X-wing pilots. Like, because sure, they don't want to fix his ship, but maybe if he'd have gone, oh, my son is, it tied up in a spider web, paralysed at the moment, that would have been cool.
Yeah, that would have been cool.
And then, again, that would serve the narrative, because then he would actually have had to have worked with them, seen, he would have seen and heard new things about the New Republic and how it's developing. Because it seems like he's kind of put himself on the fringes on purpose, doesn't it?
Yeah.
How do you feel about him saying, "May the Force be with you"? I thought that was interesting. Because it's like he doesn't seem to know what the Force is as a concept, or is it kind of like people say "May the Force be with you," but they don't believe in a force that you could lift objects and stuff? Or does he just think, like, for example, with the child, he doesn't think that's a force thing. He thinks like biologically, because you remember he says in season 1 his species can move things with their mind. So maybe he just thinks that's like a biological
I think
specialisation.
that's the case, and I think that when he says it in this episode, I think he says it as like, oh yeah, those fucking weird guys. They like saying that to each other, don't they? So if I say that, they won't think that I'm some stranger. And I think that was good. I think that's amazing again, because it's a guy with a mask. I could tell by the way Pedro Pascal delivered the dialogue of kind of like, cuts. May the Force. He's a bit awkward the way he says it. That kind of thing. But I was like, it says to me more like, don't notice that I'm not one of you guys. Like, I don't think he actually consciously thinks about what that means. Like, as if we would say hola maybe in another, like, do you know what I mean? Hello in another, like, oh, whatever. Do you know what I mean? We don't, do you know what I'm saying?
That's interesting,
I think that's kind of how I saw it. I think maybe
it was like Del Boy using French,
yeah. So I think as we go along, I feel like, I know this whole season's about finding more about, where Baby Yoda comes from. But at this point, it's like 2 episodes in, I'm starting to think that, like, how much are we really going to find out? Are they going to actually kind of, like, not give us that much?
I don't think we'll get his origins this season.
No.
I think it will be, like, he gets to Ahsoka and then...
I think it's more going to be Mando learning about the Force.
Yeah, I think so. That's all I've got to really say on both of them.
Yeah,
but overall, I'm quite happy. It's a shame that Lego Star Wars game isn't coming.
Oh, I'm still gutted about that.
I'd like some more Star Wars.
Yeah,
would have been fun to play, wouldn't it?
It would have. It's cart free.
But I guess this is all we got really for a couple of months, isn't it?
Yeah, this is it. So the Mando. I mean, we've been a bit slacking on our movies lately to talk about stuff.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. I'm really sick at this point in the year of sitting in the living room watching a movie.
Yeah,
I just need a little bit of a break. Like
yeah, I know what you mean.
because that's all we've been able to do, and I'm
It's
sure
true.
everyone perhaps feels the same.
Yeah.
If you've not been able to go out or do things,
And we're movie fans, so there's people that like really don't know what the fuck.
I just miss the thrill of going to a cinema. It's
Yes,
not the same,
same.
is it? Watching things at home.
No, it's not.
And particularly things like it's a shame that Prince Charles has had to be shut for so long in Leicester Square because we love going there, don't we, to see like older movies and stuff.
Yep.
You just don't get the same feeling.
You don't.
Sitting on in your living room.
And also, especially when we've got problems with the mix and we live above people and we don't want
Yeah.
it to be too loud and we have to keep adjusting the sound. Because it's like, you're not just engaged, are you? As with the cinema, it's just not the same. And
yeah,
but
you know,
we'll watch some
hopefully,
stuff and
hopefully before long they'll be open again.
definitely, yeah.
Things will return to some sense of normality.
I hope so too. And we've got the Mandalorian for now.
And we've got the Mandalorian for now.
Yeah.
Shall see you guys next week for a more energetic, more tip-top, in-shape podcast. There's going to be no gaffes whatsoever, no ums. We've had the oil bath now. We're back in business, baby. We are planning on doing a Colin Trevorrow Duel of the Fates read-through, aren't we? So maybe we'll do that as a podcast episode.
Yeah, I've been intrigued to see, if people...
Ignore that.
No, I'd be intrigued to see if people... we were saying, I don't know if people would want to hear us do that. But we were talking about... Maybe, I think it'd be fun.
I think there's enough of us, isn't there, that we could make... We could
read-through.
cast a few roles, have a narrator. Might be quite funny.
That could be quite fun, I think. I literally have no idea. I've not read it at all. So
No, I've seen some basic overviews of the plot.
yeah, same. And just concept art and...
Yeah, I would like to give it like a proper
about the
read
structure,
through.
but yeah, I would like to...
But until next time, may the force be with you. Tamiri Morrison, if you're watching this, please can you kick my arse.